To keep our bodies healthy, we take care of ourselves, we eat the right food, we take exercise, and we avoid unnecessary dangers. We maintain our homes and our roads, and our farmers nurture the soil and tend the crops. So I'll argue in this speech that this applies to democracy too. It's a living process, and without nourishment, it will decline in efficacy and it will decay. International Day of Democracy is an important reminder to us all, at home and abroad, that democracy is not a given. There is no inexorable, divinely ordained path towards it. It's a precious, fragile, vulnerable thing, and it needs nurturing and protecting by every one of us and by every organisation and institution of our country. On International Day of Democracy, and because I'm an ardent internationalist, I heed the words of the UN Secretary General, who said that he admires, quote, the courage of people everywhere who are shaping their societies through dialogue, participation and trust, at a time when democracy and the rule of law are under assault from disinformation, division and shrinking civic space. Democracy is about respecting the political process. It's about respecting the rules and acknowledging that it is indeed the rules that protect democracy from the forces that would undermine it from within. Sir John, at a fundamental level, democracy requires us all to accept that we both should and will resolve our differences through respectful debate, free and fair elections, peaceful and law-abiding protest if necessary, and never, ever, under any circumstances, through violence. Yeah. Violence has no place in a democratic system. Yeah. Let us not kid ourselves. Let us not allow Orwellian doublethink to drag us into a post-truth reality peddled increasingly by the powerful on social media. Yeah. Britain is not the crime-ridden dystopia teetering on the edge of anarchy that some would have you believe. Yeah. In fact, violent crime in London has dropped by 13%. Britain is not a nation that suppresses free speech or free assembly, as Saturday's march so obviously indicates. We're not a country whose elites prevent new parties forming to represent the people. Just ask the Honourable Member for Clacton. Words are at their most potent when used in political debate, and those who hold positions of influence must be more careful than most in how they wield them. Because words... Of course I will.
I was interested by the Honourable Member's reference to Orwell and Orwellian thought. Did he notice that on Saturday Elon Musk was wearing a T-shirt saying, "What would Orwell think?" And does he agree with me that I think anyone with a passing knowledge of George Orwell's work knows exactly what George Orwell would think of Elon Musk and his actions over the weekend?
Yeah. I thank my honourable friend, and she makes a powerful point. It is a matter of opinion, and Mr Musk is entirely entitled to express his opinion in any way he sees fit about Orwell, although my opinion is that Orwell would be turning in his grave about what happened regarding that speech and many other things in our society. And he also spoke about the dangers of unbridled nationalism versus patriotism, which is a very positive force in our world and which belongs to all of us, not one group. So, as I was saying, those who hold positions of influence must be more careful than other people in how they wield words, because words inspire real action that is both constructive and destructive. That's why I immediately condemned the appalling assassination of Charlie Kirk, and I offered my condolences to his family. There can be no double standards when it comes to rejecting violence. How stark, then, the contrast with Elon Musk telling the crowd on Saturday that, quote, the left is the party of murder. I have challenged Mr Musk's foreign interference in our sovereign democracy and his shameful framing of the debate through the lens of imminent violence. I have challenged this on my social media channels, and I'm doing it today, and I encourage all who value democracy to do so similarly. Democracy also implores us to regard our political opponents as just that, as opponents, and repeat, not as enemies. We must not demonise, dehumanise or delegitimise our opponents. To do so is to build a road whether willfully or not, into the abyss. I have said publicly that 99.999% of politicians in this place and beyond are motivated by a desire to improve their community, and by extension, their country. If we imply otherwise, if we question their motivation, then we are implying to our supporters that we do not regard our opponents or their views, or the views of their supporters, as legitimate. It's unfortunate, Sir John, that GCSE and A-level Politics 101 needs to be rehearsed here today. But frankly, at this moment in time, it does. Democracy requires the losing candidate, party and their supporters to accept the outcome of the election. And I would argue also to show respect to the winners, indeed by congratulating them and wishing them well, as we do in this country. Democracy also requires that the victorious candidate or candidates, the winners, show magnanimity towards those they defeated and those who supported them. This means that in the immediate aftermath of an election, that there can be a peaceful transfer of power that protects both winners and losers from retribution. Democracy is about respecting freedom of speech and a free media, but not weaponising and fetishizing these to enable and amplify hatred in the incitement of violence and intimidation. And I think honourable members across the House know all too much about that. A healthy democracy requires education so that citizens understand their rights and responsibilities, how the system works, and the ways in which they can engage with it. It also means highlighting how the ordinary workings of democratic politics should, can, and will improve people's lives. I'll end, Sir John, by returning to my argument about nourishment. Just as we take care of our own bodies, a healthy democracy requires sustenance and care, a diet of trust and honesty, regular exercise in civic participation and open debate. It must be protected from the cancer of political violence, and our population must be empowered to identify and challenge snake oil salesmen wherever they lurk. Failure to tend to our democracy will leave it malnourished and brittle, vulnerable to the corrosion of cynicism and apathy, and all that flows from the unholy dance, an abusive, manipulative dance between angry voters and powerful political actors, exploiting grievance, stoking cynicism for their own gain, dressed up as speaking for the people. This tactic, Sir John, is as old as the hills. It's as old as the Greek city-states, and the history of nations is littered with disasters arising from the apathy of those who failed to protect democracy.